a young lad of 16, disembarked from the bus in the quiet town of Morrows Bend, far from the bustle of Manchester where he was raised. He was there for a summer job at a nearby farm and needed a place to stay. As he wandered the streets, an old inn caught his eye, a rustic sign swaying slightly. Warm beds and evening meals. Through the window he saw a canary perched in its cage, and a gray cat curled in sleep. Intrigued, Caleb approached the entrance. Upon knocking, the door was immediately opened by a peculiar-looking older woman with wild gray hair and eyes that twinkled with a strange light. She introduced herself as Miss Evelyn. Her rates for a room were surprisingly affordable. Despite the odd vibes he got from the innkeeper, the price convinced him. As Caleb entered his details into the guestbook, two names from a couple of years prior stood out: Robert Greenfield and Peter L. Watkins. He couldn't quite place them, but the names seemed eerily familiar. Miss Evelyn, observing his curiosity, smiled gently and said, "Oh, those two were delightful company. Very much like you, young and full of life." She then offered him a cup of warm cocoa. As they chatted over the drink, Caleb remembered a news story about two boys from his hometown who had vanished mysteriously during their travels. Their names, Robert and Peter. When Caleb inquired if her former guests were from Manchester, Miss Evelyn waved it off, saying they were from Liverpool and were still staying in one of her rooms, though he might not see them as they kept odd hours. Curiosity piqued, Caleb commented on the canary he'd seen through the window and the cat he'd seen curled in sleep. Miss Evelyn laughed softly, revealing that it wasn't real, but a creation of her own handiwork. She liked to stuff dead animals and keep them as mementos. Caleb sipped his cocoa, noticing a strange undertone, like the taste of bitter walnuts. Trying to shake off his drowsiness and unease, he asked, "Have you had many guests in recent times, Miss Evelyn?" She leaned in, her eyes glittering darkly. "No, my dear Caleb, just you."